Good afternoon, everyone. Rebekah Mosley here with laughingplace.com, joined by our Star Wars editorial guru, all-knowing Star Wars dude, Mike Celestino.
Some knowing, I would say, but yes, hi.
Okay. To me, all-knowing. What can I?
There's a
What can
lot
I
of
say?
Star Wars out there. I feel like I'm on top of like 80% of it, but some of it can slip through the cracks.
Well, it's nice to chat with you again. We recently were we spent about an hour, I think, discussing the Mandalorian teaser trailer.
I think we had to stop at a half an hour because there was
Did
another stream coming up, but I mean, still a good amount of time, like going through each shot of the Mandalorian trailer that came out the other day. So yeah, you can visit that live stream. Is still up on the Laughing Place YouTube channel, and there's also an article on the laughingplace.com website where I just took every shot and tried my best to figure out what was going on. And of course, I missed some stuff. I remember the first thing that I saw that I missed was when I was watching it on the big screen in my living room, when they're walking into that underground city, whatever that is, with all the graffiti around. There's
mm-hmm.
like two little eyes that are glowing in another corner of the screen, like Jawa eyes almost. And I was like, oh, how did I miss that when I saw it on my computer?
Oh
But
wow.
and then I sent you a link to somebody. I don't even know if we should say, but there's another detail that's probably a little spoilerish if you really have
Mm-hmm.
been avoiding spoilers. But a lot of cool stuff hidden in that trailer. So got me even more excited when I saw people really picking it apart.
Yeah, I think I texted you saying it reminds me of the seasons of Lost, where you would grab a screen and then you would just pick it apart, all these little details and little
Yeah.
nods. And what's fun right now is a lot of it's speculation, and we'll see what it actually ends up being when it arrives in October.
Yeah, I remember when that blast door map episode aired, the lockdown episode. For the
Right.
next month, even as further episodes were coming, people were still deciphering that map. That was a really exciting time.
Well, sticking with the topic of the Mandalorian, I guess we can start by. Oh, hey, I got rid of Mike by accident. We can start by talking about its various awards that were heaped upon it recently.
Yeah, so this is Emmy week, and the main Emmy broadcast is going to be this coming Sunday night. But they had the Creative Arts Emmys. Was this yesterday, I guess? And those are like the technical awards, basically, for the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. And The Mandalorian has already won 5 Emmys, which is crazy. Not only was it the first Emmy for Disney Plus at all ever, it was the first 5. So yeah, that's great. And I guess if you want to go through them, it got production design, which is basically how the environment looks around the characters. Visual effects, of course. If it hadn't won visual effects, I think people were prepared to riot because if you watch that Disney Gallery behind the scenes documentary, you can see how unbelievably revolutionary the VFX were for this series. So that was kind of a gimme, I think.
Right?
Cinematography, yeah, for chapter 7 looks it's a great looking show, and again, very innovative way that they did the cinematography for this show. So that
Are
makes
you
sense.
are you able to tell me the overall plot of the Reckoning? Because I'm still not right where I can pull up a storyline from the titles yet.
Yeah, the Reckoning. It's the penultimate episode of season 1. It's when the Mandalorian's kind of gathering all his friends to go back to the planet
Ah,
Navarro
okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
confront Moff Gideon and the Werner Herzog character, the client. Um, so it's part 1 of the 2-part finale, basically.
Okay.
And then sound mixing, another technical award for the child. I mean, you have to have a very particular ear, I think, to be able to tell what's mixed better than other shows. But Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound have been the industry standard for sound editing and sound mixing
I
for
think
many
for
many
me,
years.
I think the child, this chapter 2, it was my favorite of the episodes. If I remember correctly, my husband was fond of the prison break one. That's the one that he
Yeah,
that
that's
he,
probably
he
the one. If you were to ask me which was my favorite episode of season 1, I'd probably say The Prisoner as well. Um, not only because of I like the story, it's got great action, it's funny, but also like the casting of Bill Burr in Star Wars is just a stroke of genius to me because I love when they're taking these character actors and comedians who have no connection whatsoever and are like the last people you would think of when it comes to Star Wars and then plop them in the Star Wars universe. And I just thought that was a fantastic choice and he was really good in it.
Am I correct that the child is the episode with the egg?
Correct. Yeah, that's the one where he's
See,
chasing the Jawas.
there's
Who have,
so little dialogue in that
yeah,
episode, and that's just so amazing to me. I found that so fascinating because
yeah,
it's not terribly common. We I mean, my another of my favorite shows is like the diametrically opposite of it, and that's Gilmore Girls, right? Because it's like as many words per minute, and then the child on the other end where there's no words.
right. And then for the series premiere, one sound editing. So that's when people ask the difference between sound editing and sound mixing, I always say sound editing is horizontal and sound mixing is vertical. When you're looking at the timeline of an editing program,
Well, that's
so
useful. I'll have to try and remember that.
yeah,
And
it's a tough thing to get a hold of to get an idea of how it works. I guess if you're not an editor or in the film industry or whatever. And it's I remember people asking like, why are those two separate categories? And I think that the Oscars are talking about actually combining those two categories again to just best sound. Um, I'm sure the people involved with that industry won't be happy about that.
also this week, Mike had to make a trip to the comic book store.
Yeah, I love going to the comic shop, uh, especially now when I have such rare opportunities to go outside. But I love. I'll drop a plug here for my local comic shop called House of Secrets in Burbank, California. They're
Oh,
fantastic, and I picked up the two new Star Wars comics that came out yesterday. This is I've got them here next to me. Star Wars number 6, the main Star Wars title. No, that's not it. You had the I grabbed the wrong one when I was getting ready. That was number 5. But there you go. There's the cover of number 6. So this is the last issue in the first arc of this second volume of the main Star Wars title in this current canon of Star Wars. It's from Marvel Comics. This arc has been fantastic. It's by one of my favorite writers for Star Wars right now, Charles Soule, and it's about Luke trying to hunt down his lightsaber, which he lost in the duel on Bespin with Darth Vader. And as you can see, it ends with him getting a new yellow lightsaber, which now in the canon he has a yellow lightsaber between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
you gonna start
Um,
pulling up some of the panels, Mike, or
sure, if you
leave it
if you
on
want
the
to
cover?
show, I think they had released before it came out. They showed these panels of basically Luke has had these visions of this woman that led him to this other planet where she like captures him basically, and she thinks he's trying to kill her because she used to be a Jedi Padawan. This is a character that was introduced in one of Charles Soule's other Marvel Star Wars comics, Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, and she was pursued by the Sith Inquisitors, and they were trying to hunt her down and kill her. So she thinks Luke is another one of these people trying to murder her. So she traps him in a booby trap or something, but R2D2 helps him escape. And then they have this long conversation. Oh, the really great thing about this issue is that it sets a wonderful groundwork for what happens to Luke in the sequel trilogy when he decides to go off and become a hermit. There's this whole conversation between these two characters about how someday Luke is going to realize that the Jedi aren't worth the commitment and that the Force is just kind of manipulating them. And I thought it was a fantastic kind of a retcon. Obviously, that happened, that was created for Luke without much of a backstory to it, but now they're like filling in that backstory. And I really liked that about this issue. And
And
go ahead.
and you said these are by Charles Soule.
This the current main Star Wars title is written by Charles Soule. Yes,
Okay.
he's also writing the first novel in Star Wars: The High Republic, which is starting in January. Which everybody's really excited about that too. And he's written some other Star Wars comics and stuff too. He's just a great writer. Then Star Wars Darth Vader by Greg Pak, big Marvel comic writer. He did the Hulk, Planet Hulk series, which was really great. And this is a story about Darth Vader's trying to figure out what happened to Padme Amidala after he choked her basically on Mustafar. So he's gone back to Naboo. This is him visiting Padme's crypt, and he has encountered some faces from the past, from the prequel trilogy that he hadn't seen since he was Anakin Skywalker. There's Sabe, the handmaiden, Padme's handmaiden, trying to get him not to disturb Padme's tomb. But this leads him to the asteroid field where Padme actually gave birth to Luke and Leia, and where they find some more interesting stuff. And there's this big battle between this group called the Amidalans, who are the Naboo loyalists who think that Darth Vader murdered Padme, which they're not terribly far off, but they don't know that Anakin turned into Darth Vader. Like, they think Anakin was also murdered by Darth Vader. So, but they're close. They're close in that Darth Vader had something to do with Padme's death. But yeah,
both of these, I haven't been on keeping up with the Star Wars Marvel comics, and both of these storylines, just these few panels and then your reviews, really enticed me. I think I wrote you and said I'm gonna have to renew my subscription, start paying attention. These storylines are very intriguing.
Yeah, the 2020 Star Wars comics, especially these two titles, Star Wars and Darth Vader, have been fantastic so far. And I liked what they were doing pre-2020 as well, after they rebooted all the comics and everything. But it felt like there was a lot of filler in those runs. But these are all very efficient, and they all feel like important to the mythology and the storytelling and stuff. I don't know. Eventually, I'm sure they're going to run out of important things to do and go back to having more filler to fill in those issues. But so far, I think these are great, and I highly recommend both of those titles. There's also two other currently running Star Wars titles, Dr. Aphra and Bounty Hunters, and those are both really good as well. But these two are my favorite of the four current ongoing titles.
And I think it was, let's see, today's Thursday, so I think it was Tuesday afternoon. You were at Downtown Disney, and then was it Wednesday that, or no, it must have been Monday you were at Downtown Disney, and then Tuesday, Tuesday there was a sudden change, and Mike went back to Downtown Disney on Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah, the crazy thing about this is during our live stream from Downtown Disney on Monday, I was walking past the Wonderground Gallery, which is a nice little art store, and they have like some interesting merchandise and stuff. And I was like, oh, there's no line. Why don't we do part of our live stream from inside Wonderground Gallery? We've never live streamed from there before. So I went inside, and I was like, oh, hey, it's our first live stream from Wonderground Gallery. We looked around at some of the merch and the art and stuff, and I left and didn't think anything of it. And then the next morning we saw on Twitter, Wonderground Gallery was gone, basically, and they're saying temporarily, but in its place is this Star Wars Trading Post, which is now where you can go and buy Star Wars Galaxy's Edge merchandise at Disneyland Resort while the parks are closed. And they have a bunch of the stuff from the Creatures Stall, from Black Spire Outfitters, from Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, from Droid Depot, from First Order Cargo, from Resistance Supply. There's the Creature Stall plushes. Oh, no, that was the Toydarian Toymaker plushes. And then they have the Creature Stall creatures and stuff as well. So, yeah, a whole bunch of cool merch that you would see in Galaxy's Edge. The only new thing that I saw was the child plush from the Toydarian Toymaker, which has been in Walt Disney World in Florida, but we hadn't gotten it in California yet because the park has been
Is that
closed.
this one, Mike?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Very cool. And then they also, as you mentioned, they had the items from the Doc Ondar thing, the lightsabers.
Yes, lightsabers, the Kyber crystals, the holocrons. Basically, I don't know. I'm not sure what's missing. Like, I couldn't figure out if there's anything that they don't have that you would be able to get in Galaxy's Edge, but it covers most of it, most of the merch from Galaxy's Edge, so it's pretty cool to be able to get that again because they stopped selling it in World of Disney and stuff. So pretty neat.
Did you feel like there was a much wider variety than they'd had at World of Disney?
Yeah, because the World of Disney Galaxy's Edge stuff was mostly like the off-planet stuff, and
Okay.
there were things that carried over. Like I want to say they had the Black Series action figures and stuff that were only supposed to be available in Galaxy's Edge, but by and large, the on-planet, in-universe stuff was mostly only sold on Batu, though that there were a lot of exceptions to that as well. Now, this is all the on-planet, in-universe merch. Now it's all available at this Star Wars trading post. And I overheard a cast member say this will be open at least until the parks reopen. So maybe once Disneyland is back open, you can go back into Black Spire Outpost. They can turn this back into Wonderground Gallery. And I saw a lot of people angry that Wonderground had gone away, but I think it'll be back, if I had to guess.
Yeah, my hope is that it'll be back too. But I also was, thinking that with the reduced capacity for the parks and as we continue to hope for their opening, that it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if you didn't have to reserve the park to be able to pick up some Batu items.
That's true as well. So it may last beyond the park opening. I agree.
You never know. You never know. Let's see. What do I have next from you? I have a certain little adventure.
Oh yeah, so this is also tied to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and this is the VR experience coming from ILM, X Lab, and Oculus. I think before the end of the year, this is going to be out pretty soon. So I was saying to our CEO that this is going to come out probably like right as the park is reopening, and you're going to have like, it would have been perfect. It would have been perfect like 3 or 4 months ago when nobody could go to Disneyland.
Right?
I mean, or Walt Disney World, even when that was closed, to be able to like strap on the VR goggles and go into Batu. But this is coming out soon. It's Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. It's set in Black Spire Outpost. You get to meet one of the other business owners who we haven't known before. His name is Cecil Slack, and he's played by Bobby Moynihan from DuckTales and Star Wars Resistance and Saturday Night Live and stuff. So, but he's telling you, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, in their write-up, they say that fans will play a droid repair technician who crash lands on Batu after a pirate attack. And then, you'll get swept into the outskirts of Black Spire Outpost and meet this Cantina frequenter. And it says in his Cantina. So apparently,
yeah, he's the owner of a different cantina, not Oga's Cantina. Which when they announced that, I was surprised. I was like, Oga doesn't seem like the kind of character who would be okay with a competing cantina operating out at a Black Spire Outpost. But I'm sure that's probably going to be an element of the story. But anyway, yesterday we found out that both Yoda and C-3PO are going to be part of this VR experience, and that C-3PO is going to be voiced by Anthony Daniels, who has played C-3PO not only in most of the Star Wars movies, but also in a bunch of animated series and I think a few video games, Star Tours, obviously. He's like notoriously protective of that character, so it kind of doesn't surprise me that he would want to reprise the role and not have somebody else step in and do a different take on the voice or whatever. So it's fun to know that. They haven't said who's going to be playing Yoda. If it's Frank Oz, that would be a pleasant surprise as well, but Frank Oz has reprised Yoda less often than Anthony Daniels has done C-3PO, so
I'm excited. This was very cool to me. I have not done the Oculus experiences. Have you had I know Vader Immortal was out, and I saw quite a few of my peers enjoying it, but I myself never got my hands on it. Did you, Mike?
Yeah, I've played through all of Vader Immortal, all 3 chapters. I reviewed it for, for laughingplace.com.
I figured you did.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a really great story and very interactive and stuff. And there's also the lightsaber training dojo that's like the mini game involved with that experience. But
would you find it accessible to somebody who isn't I'm not a gamer, so like I do well with Nintendo like side scroll, but when you
Yeah.
start to get me into those deeply immersive games like the Star Wars Battleground, I'm struggle.
Well, Vader Immortal is more of an interactive story than it is a video game, though it does have video
Okay,
game elements, and there are parts where you have to defeat enemies and stuff. But I want to say that there were difficulty settings, so you could probably set it on easy and like waltz right through it and just
gotcha.
appreciate the story. This one, so in addition to the announcements about the casting for this yesterday, they also released a new trailer which looked way more like action oriented. Like there's like two hands out in front of the camera like this, and you can see one's got a thermal detonator and one's got a blaster, and you're just like mowing down villains and stuff. So this one might be more of a video game, but I'm not sure. Oh yeah, here's
Yeah.
the teaser, so you can see C3PO there. Oh yeah, here's what I was talking about: shooting the blasters and stuff,
Okay.
getting some hollow transmissions, and there's C3PO in Droid Depot from what we're familiar with in Black Spire Outpost. But yeah, it looks a little bit more action oriented, which I was surprised by because in my experience with the Vader Immortal, that was more of like an interactive story. So I guess we'll find out more as it gets closer to the release. But
And
I'm
then we
excited. I'm excited to check that out.
And then we also heard more about in I think we get another trailer? Let me see, for Squadron.
Okay, so it's not a trailer, it's like a 6-minute short that I think is supposed to be like a precursor to the story, like a prologue to the story that Squadron's going to be about. And it's this short follows an Imperial pilot of a TIE interceptor, and there's a whole big battle that happens, and the Star Destroyer that's trying to get back to um, leaps away into hyperspace before he can reach it. As the battle is ending, they like retreat and they leave this TIE fighter, this TIE interceptor behind, and he's just like stuck there. So he tries to like hide in the debris. He like turns off all the engines and electronics in the ship and he hides there. But there's still like an X-wing like figures out where he is and comes after him, and he like turns everything back on, and there's like a firefight, and then he crashes down on the planet below. Yeah, you can see then the X-wing like pursues him, and the TIE fighter crashes. I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it's really really well made, well animated, and it really got me excited. Yeah, you could see there he's like sitting on the edge of a lake where he had crashed. But it got me excited for the story elements of this game. I'm not great at multiplayer video games either. Like I always prefer like a single player experience where there's no pressure of other people like wanting me to perform well and I could kind of take my time. But
Right.
I'm definitely gonna at least check out Star Wars Squadrons because it reminds me a lot of the Star Wars X-Wing and TIE Fighter PC games that were terrific when I was growing up. When I was a early teenager, those were coming out, and some of my favorite Star Wars games ever made. So I think this will be a worthy successor to those.
Now what time frame again is the Squadrons set in?
I think it's pretty soon after the Battle of Endor, after
Okay.
Return of the Jedi. So the Empire is largely defeated. The Emperor is dead, but as we know from some of the recent novels and stuff, the war doesn't really end until the Battle of Jakku, which I think is a few years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So this is like in the interim between those two times when there's still like an Imperial remnant being pursued and destroyed by the New Republic. And you're gonna in these missions on this game, you're gonna alternate between the two sides, between the rebels, aka the New Republic, and the remnants of the Empire.
I have to keep warning you that I'm always going to ask you for the timeline because I'm still trying to. I haven't really got my bearings very well yet about what's happening where yet. I'm still too much locked into that timeline of the original trilogy. I have some idea, connecting it with the classic because you've
Yeah.
got familiar names, but
No, that's fine.
once you get past the end of Return of the Jedi, I'm still not quite sure exactly how many years have transpired between all this new stuff they're throwing out there.
I don't mind the questions. In fact, I kind of enjoy answering those questions because the timeline is something that's almost kind of like a second nature to me at this point. Like I've just got it mapped out in my head. And there are little things that I'll forget about which thing happened first. But I've seen people confused about the Mandalorian because the Mandalorian takes place 6 years after Return of the Jedi. But then I've seen people on Twitter go, "Well, how is Yoda a baby in the Mandalorian if this is after he dies in Return of the Jedi?" And people don't realize that Baby Yoda was a name that the fans came up with
Right.
for this character. He's not actually Yoda. He's just another creature of Yoda's species who also happens to be, force sensitive and force powerful and stuff.
Do you,
So,
do you think we're finally going to find, because part of the setup of the Mandalorian, and I know we talked at length about it before, but I'm going to just toss it in for a moment.
yeah.
The part of the storyline, as we've seen from the teaser, is going to be finding the people, as it were, of this infant. Do you think if that mission is successful, do you think we'll actually discover a name? Do you think they'll finally give us a species name for Yoda, or do you?
I was watching one of my favorite Star Wars YouTube channels called Star Wars Explained. They do a really good job of breaking down all this stuff. And he was saying that he would like the series to end with just what you're saying, with him, maybe with Mandalorian discovering maybe the home planet of Yoda's species. And at that point, I would imagine they would have to give us a
Yeah,
name
right.
for
They
that
finally
species.
give us that information.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, going back 40 years now since The Empire Strikes Back, people have been asking, what's the name of Yoda's species? Why they haven't said, I don't know, if it's just to keep it mysterious. But now that we're meeting more members of that species, it seems like something that's not that big of a deal for them to tell us. I don't think it takes anything away from the character to learn that.
Were there thoughts for a while that he was kind of a one and only for, like some sort of mythical beast where, there wasn't necessarily any others quite like him?
Yeah, I think that's probably a theory that was floating around there before
Yeah,
the
I feel like
prequels.
that's how I approached him in my youth, was
Right,
that
and then in
poor
the
guy,
Phantom
there's
Menace
nobody else like you.
we had Yaddle on the Jedi Council,
Right.
so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember feeling like that was a very exciting idea to me, that, oh, hey, there are other, if Yoda may have seen other beings that look like him, which I
Right.
don't feel like I had that idea of him in my youth. And with Yoda in mind, you got to go to an amazing event. I grew up in Pasadena near the Rose Bowl, so this is very exciting.
Yeah, this was really cool. So D23 hosted this 40th anniversary screening of The Empire Strikes Back, which it was a lot of fun. And we had gone to the Rose Bowl to see the New Mutants. You can see the top of the screen there has the banner for the New Mutants there, so they're still playing it there. But this was just a one night only thing, and it was just a lot of fun. Do you have the poster that they gave us? The
I
image?
do.
Yeah, so this was a handout as we were driving in.
It's
They
gorgeous.
handed every car got two. There's two in that sleeve. It's
That is
somewhere
gorgeous.
behind me in this room, but it's a really really nice looking poster and
That
pretty
is.
sizable. It's not like the size of a one sheet movie poster, but it's a good size, and I got to figure out how to frame that and put that up because we have no wall space left, as you can see. But something else has to come down to make
Now
room for this one.
you're gonna have to be like an art gallery where you have seasonal displays. And this month we'll be showing.
Yeah, my friend David, who is a regular guest on Who's the Boss, does that. He has like seasonal movie poster displays. So
I can
I'm too
believe
lazy
it.
for that. Once we have stuff up, I'm like, this isn't coming down for a while. Here's they were running some ads for D23. If you sign up for the gold membership, you get the Fantastic Worlds kit, and it comes with this Hoth at pin before the movie. There's a postcard that you get for Cloud City. And oh yeah, then you could order food and drinks on your mobile device and go and pick it up. And it was a cool way to maintain physical distancing and get to enjoy a movie in like a communal space like
And
that. Go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say, and I had to laugh because, given the title of your
Yeah.
podcast. I was not surprised to see you snuck a grab when Bosk was
Yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah, I was like ready with my camera. I was like, okay, here it comes, and I like took a picture as soon as I could. But yeah, there's Bosk on the Rose Bowl drive-in screen.
That's a lot of fun. Was this a one night event, or did they offer the film over a couple of nights?
I'm pretty sure it was a one night,
One night.
one showing kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Nice way to celebrate the 40th in this odd time.
Yeah, I don't know if that poster is available anywhere else, but if it's not, it might be worth something. I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And then lastly, as we start to wrap up, Mike,
Yeah.
we have this weekend, right? Am I right? Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so the big announcement coming from us today is that I have this giant Lego Cantina that I got at Downtown Disney yesterday, and Saturday morning, 10 a.m. I think we're gonna go for like 6 hours. I've decided that may not be enough time to build all this, but I'm gonna do a live stream where I at least build a good chunk of it, and we're gonna watch along. I think with the Mandalorian season 1 while I'm doing it, so we can.
Well, that's a great idea.
We'll have two things to talk about instead of just watching me put bricks together. But yeah, my wife got a temporary job, so I'm at home by myself, bored. So this Saturday, just gonna be building Legos all day on the Laughing Place YouTube channel.
Very
Streaming.
cool. I'm excited. That's an enormous set. So I'm interested to see. Let me see. I'm interested to see how many times you have to tear it down a few steps and and rebuild.
That happens to me a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's the second largest Lego set that I own, and I own a lot of Lego sets. The largest being the Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon, but this is a pretty big one.
Very, very nice. Well, I think that's it for our headlines. Hey, if Doobie's able to pop in, that'd be a good idea because my stream is almost. I'm having trouble.
Oh gosh, no audio.
I have no audio on you.
How about now?
Okay,
Yep.
you're good.
What am I here for?
Oh, my stream had totally frozen, so I was gonna have you rather than just leave Mike hanging.
All right, I would never leave you hanging, Mike. Can I ask you a question about the Most Likely Cantina?
Yeah.
Is it as perfect as you hoped?
I already told Rebekah on our Slack that I'm probably going to be bothered by the fact that it doesn't have a roof.
But then you couldn't see in.
Well, you could take the roof off, as you do with other Lego sets that have roofs.
Okay. I look forward to your 6-hour mega cast to see mostly any other gripes you have as you go along. That's the fun part. So thank
as
you,
long
Mike.
as there's a droid detector as the characters walk into the entrance, I'm good.
It's the beginning of Mandalorian. That's not in the Cantina, is it? Or is it?
The beginning of Mandalorian? No.
The very first scene of the very first episode, that is not.
That's Tatooine. A different planet, but he does go to the Mos Eisley Cantina in a later episode.
I do remember that now. I'm sorry. I was just supposed to sign off, and then here I go asking questions. I'm sorry. All right. I think we're done. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rebekah.
Thanks.
It's been a fun Star Wars week, and we look forward to future ones. And is there some Star Wars saying I can use as we leave or something?
Well, I think people say, "May the Force be with you." If that's
a good one. Okay, that works. May the Force be with you, and also with you.